What really stinks is they even teach their children at a very young age how to deceive. I'm looking at some right now, and it's just like absolutely nauseating. I mean, I just, it's very gross. It's very gross. I look at some of the things I ended up doing, and a lot of it was basically to get some energy out. And in fact, when somebody was trying to talk me into being a professional golfer, I was like, no, I don't want to do that. Like, but basically, that's not something I want to do. The reason why I ended up playing tennis is I enjoyed moving around as far as stuff goes. I didn't sit there and go, I want to play tennis to become a professional tennis player. No. In fact, what's really odd when I think back on it now, it's like the different things that I enjoyed. All of a sudden, it's like, oh well, there's such and such a competition or such and such a contest. I mean, that's not the reason why. It's like that's not the reason why I swam. I enjoyed swimming. Man, I look back at it, it's just like, oh, need to have to basically write this, do that. I mean, it's just like, man, I just look at the junk. It's like, that's the reason why I really cringe when I think about the phrase, may the force be with you. I mean, think about that. In fact, I mean, talk about sick. There's some of them that take whips and beat themselves, and I'm like, oh god. I mean, what's his name? What's his name? David Carradine, whatever the Karate Man guy was. Um, it's like the milk box, milk crate, whatever the challenge is and stuff, and I'm just like, I mean, they're sitting there and basically saying what they're doing is they're using the mass media to sit there and basically uh, see who's going to end up taking the stupid beta and doing stupid things. I mean, they don't give a crap on who gets hurt and who breaks their neck, just like the daggum. I, it really chaffs my ass when I think about a man getting a broken neck from going to that stupid Black Lives Matter protest. That to me is just so indicative of basically how they manipulate the Bible scriptures, how they miraculously, just like, what's his name? I don't even know what his real name is. Alex Jones, and sitting there and pulling his junk out, who miraculously walks away never hurt. I mean, I just look at the crap that they do, and it's just like, I mean, it's Alex Jones is wicked. Alex Jones is wicked. I mean, I don't care. It's kind of like, I mean, and what's really wild is that I look at the same ones that are sitting there and pushing the same kind of Kool-Aid, and I'm like, crap, what was the Kool-Aid have in it? I mean, one of them was sitting there and pushing Tex Mars on me, and then I find out Tex Mars was a Jesuit. And then another one is Brother Nathaniel. He's a movie producer from Holly Weirdos. I just look at the crap they do, and it's just like, I mean, and I look at one of them talking about being an ex-wizard and all that other kind of stuff. I'm like, he was another one of the one pushing the rapture and the crap, and his and that was another one that basically was, I mean, what they do is they sit there and they send people basically on wild goose chases. And I mean, it's just like, I mean, it's kind of like if I was a hamster and put me on an exercise wheel inside a hamster cage. I mean, they are like taking me and spinning me like I'm a top. I mean, basically they have no problem basically putting me on their roller coaster ride. That's the reason why I'm like, stay away from them. Minimize contact. Don't go near them. Stay clear of them. And it's just basically, once that little red flag goes up inside saying don't have anything to do with them, don't have anything to do with them. Don't give them a second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, whatever chance. Get the hell away from them as soon as possible. I really mean that. And at times it takes being burnt on a stove to realize that the stove burner is hot. And but don't keep sitting there and touching the daggum hot stove burner. And oh man, talk about the forgiveness Kool-Aid. But basically, and that's what they play on, is basically people constantly sitting there and forgiving them for doing shit that they shouldn't have never done, that they chose to do. Well, I mean, I just, the thing is when I look at who I've pissed off, it's like I'd rather piss somebody off and basically, as opposed to not piss somebody off when they're doing wicked, if that makes sense. I'll give it an example is about 200 people were inside of a building, and a woman said that she had been raped, and they were like, oh, we were scared, we didn't know what was going to happen. And I was like, bullshit. I mean, it's just like, and that's and so I look at it, it's just like, who's the one with the problem? The one that's sitting there and calling the bullshit out on him? I mean, but see, once again, the narcissism. It's like, oh, if they had been raped, they would have been the first to bitch somebody out for not helping them out. But yet, if when it was somebody else who said that they had been raped, who probably had been raped, especially with who was in close proximity to the area, it was probably a woman who had been raped. So for them to sit there and, oh, let me give a deaf ear, let me give a cold heart. I mean, it's just, I but basically I know I did the right thing by chewing, but I mean, I didn't sit there and chew them out, but I was like, why didn't you? Basically, I challenged them on the fact that they could have called an ambulance, they could have done something to help a woman out who said that she had been raped. But also think about it this way. Where they do, oh, I was scared that the woman who said that she had been raped was gonna hurt me. And I'm like, what? It reminds me of the rapist. I don't know where it is, but basically the guy ends up saying, oh, my penis accidentally slipped and went into the girl. And I'm like, it's that's the reason why I like Maxim Batty. It's just like what? I mean, just imagine sitting there and I, I don't know. I mean, I'm not saying Maxim Batty's innocent. In fact, some of the stuff he does, I disagree with what he does. But some of the stuff, it's like, I mean, there's like one video where some guy's sitting there, and there's like 5 or 6 different women that are pregnant at the same time, and I'm like, doesn't anybody see anything wrong with that? I mean, it's just like Adam and Eve. There was one rib that was taken. Think about that. There was one rib that was taken. I mean, I just the absurdity of it all. I just look at it. Why do you think people get so upset and jealous when somebody's been cheating on them? Or when somebody had no intention on being faithful to them. When I talk about being faithful, what I'm getting at is somebody having no intention of being honest with somebody and intentionally deceiving somebody. That, I mean, and my point also is that it happens to men as well as women. And when somebody chooses to tilt the scale to make it sound like only women get screwed over or only men get screwed over, it's time to go. I'm not drinking that Kool-Aid. No, not drinking that Kool-Aid. Basically, whoever pushes that it's only men or only women is either getting into the misogynistic attitude or the feminazi attitude. I mean, that's what's so dangerous about the women be subservient to your husbands. Basically, who's supposed to be the real groomsman? Think about it. I want to stress that one for a minute, because basically some of the wolves in the pulpit sitting there and pushing what they're pushing, they're not telling people that oh, but by the way, there are these incurable sexually transmitted disease, and sometimes sexually transmitted diseases are the diseases that it's kind of like a gift that keeps giving. If you know what I mean. What I'm getting at is some of the crap that they've been peddling. And I look at some of the wolves. In fact, one of them's last name is even Wolf. But anyhow, some of the stuff about drinking urine and all that kind of stuff, I'm like, oh.